Today we will be showing you how to build a nest box out of an old Rubbermaid tote or a cheap Rubbermaid tote you could get from Walmart. The tools you will need will be a drill or soldering iron will work for this. If you have a soldering iron, use an old tip you don't really care about. Zip ties, some kind of felt tip pen, a razor knife, and cardboard for making a stencil. First we're going to do the stencil and I'll explain why later. Okay, you will lay your Rubbermaid tote or other kind of tote, some kind of container, on the cardboard, and you will draw a quick outline. You want the outline to be taken on the skinnier end, not the length end. And then when you're done, you'll have an outline something like this. You take this outline and cut it into a stencil, and then we will be laying the stencil on the tote and marking where that is. The reason for this is when you cut out the hole for the chickens to enter and leave through, you actually want to be able to reuse that part as a divider you can place inside to allow for more than one chicken to use the roost box or nest box, whichever one you're going to be making. Now that you have your stencil cut out, you're going to want to place it on the long end of your tote. Make marks at each corner where you can roughly do a straight line from each corner to the other. And I've done that for what my tote is going to need for the hole cut. Now that you do that, you see the marks here. At the marks, this would be where you take your drill or soldering iron and make holes in it. These will allow you to have easy access with your razor knife to cut a roughly straight line. So our holes are done. Now we'll take our razor knife and any straight edge you have around. In our case, I'm just going to use the cardboard. That's good enough for what my idea for use and functionality is. I'm not a perfectionist. If it works is my only concern. And cut from one hole to the other. If you don't have a new blade, get one, because a dull knife is more dangerous in this situation. More forces need to be applied. And again, I'm not going for perfection, so I'm just going for functionality. And there we go. Okay, again, we're not going for perfection, so mark a few spots on your divider. You want about a ½ inch from the bottom or outside edge of it, so when you secure it, you don't rip through. On the longer side, we're going to need about 4. On the other side, about 2. If you want to, for scared, you can add more. What's going to happen is we're going to drill holes through these, and then place it in the tote, make marks in the tote, drill holes through that, and actually run the zip ties through both sets of holes to secure the divider in place. I'm actually going to use my tote as the drilling surface, drilling into the raised areas, which when it's flipped the correct side down will be the depressed areas. That way if any excess moisture gets into the tote, it'll self-drain. So I'm actually okay with drilling extra holes in the bottom while I drill here. I will move them so they're laid out to allow for better drainage. So there our holes are drilled in our sheet or divider. Now we're going to take the divider, place it in the tote, and with our marker, actually mark where all the holes need to be in the tote, corresponding with the holes you've already drilled. I'm going to make a second set of marks just next to each mark that I made. That's where the second hole is going to be for the zip tie to feed through. I'm just holding my tote. I'm going to drill the new sets of holes. That's the holes you need for securing your wall. Now the zip ties will come into play. I'm going to reach inside the tote, run the zip ties up through, or actually I'm sorry, down is going to be the best way, and then back up through, but you're going to do that after you place the center divide in. You're going to do this to secure the center divide in place. Then we'll take the center divide, line it up with the holes that we have drilled, run the zip tie through the holes in the center divide, back out through the bottom. Now I recommend you do one at a time. Do your first one loose to give you room to manipulate it for the other ones. And then you run the zip tie back up through, secure it to itself, and we have loosely held the divider in place. And then we'll go through and do the same thing with all the others until the divider is held in place, and then tighten them down reasonably secure, and I'll show you the end result. Okay, now we have all the zip ties in place, both on the bottom and on the back. The end result, our center divider is securely in place. Now you have a 2-chamber nest box, and you can fill it with whatever nesting material you typically use. I personally shred newspapers, sales ads, things like that. I don't mind changing it regularly because it doesn't cost me any money. Just extra things that I have, and I'll show you a picture of this or video of it in use later. Alright, now we're going to make nesting material for our nest box. Okay, here's our final product. The nest box, built out of an old Rubbermaid tote. You can see I used to keep my home brewing stuff in. Now has a new life as a nest box. That's the inside. Looks nice and cozy for the chickens. If you put this somewhere near a gate, you can put it out in your pen wherever you want, or you can even put it in an existing big enclosure. Like we have a big house that the chickens go into to sleep at night. We're going to put ours in there. You just open the top, reach in from the back, and collect your eggs